All right, welcome back to episode 2 of SnapperChat. You guys know that our goal with this podcast is to add more value than anybody's ever added in the solar industry before. Our goal is to have this be the number one, not just information source, but like motivation source, resources just on deck for you guys. One of the biggest things I'm seeing in the solar industry right now is a lot of people are really struggling to get that sale across the finish line and make sure they're getting paid. So we're going to talk about that today. So if you guys don't know, my name is Will Ellermitz. I am one of the co-founders of Snapper Academy, vice president of expansion at Nevo Solar. We've also got in the house Matt Beeler. I'm going to bring him on here in a second. And we've got none other than Cody Shield, who's just an absolute wealth of knowledge, been in the industry for over 10 years, senior vice president at Nevo Solar. So we're going to bring Cody on in a second. But Matt, over to you, man. You kind of want to just tell everybody what we're going to be talking about today, what they can expect, and looking forward to what we've got today.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got an awesome guest coming in from none other than Nevo, our SVP of sales. So he's going to really walk us through a lot of the things that we've seen success in on how to take more sales and get them all the way through to the finish line. And the finish line isn't just install, it's actually getting PTO. So how can you get these customers from signing the docs all the way through to having an operating solar system? So before we get into that, I did want to touch on a couple updates that we have for Snapper Academy. So next week, I'm really looking forward to this release, but we have a brand new course coming out on how to actually inject storytelling into your sales pitch. So Will does this amazing multi-module course on exactly how to tell the right stories to get your customers emotional, because we all know customers buy on emotion. And so that's releasing next week on Monday, and it's going to be really valuable for a lot of you guys. And then, like we talked about in the last podcast, Will's on this tear right now, this challenge of getting a 6-pack in 90 days that ends in 10 days from now, where he's going to absolutely take that win. We all know it. We all can see it. He's made an amazing transformation. But right after that, we're all going into another challenge that we're opening up to everybody. It's going to be how to recruit the most people in 30 days. So Will's going to set the exact goal for that the moment this gets done, this current challenge that he's in right now. But we at least wanted to open it up to everybody. So look forward to that coming up. And I'll pass it back to you, Will, to introduce our amazing guest for today.
All right, let's rock and roll. So guys, I've had the pleasure, and Matt, that's some exciting updates too. I mean, this course, guys, that we just dropped, and it's how to be a better storyteller than Oprah, Steve Jobs, and Elon Musk combined, right? And so we all know that facts tell, stories sell, and so we want to give you guys all of those tools, those roadmaps, and hopefully you've got the desire to be a good storyteller, and just giving you those tools and that roadmap to be able to actually do that. This course is absolutely going to help you guys out. But guys, we've got Cody Shield in the house. I've gotten to work with Cody for about a year now. We've been tearing it up. We've been building out the systems and processes, and this is something that Cody's been doing for, Cody, you think 10 years, over 10 years, right?
So a little over 11 years now in solar. Yeah,
it's crazy. I've only been doing it for 3 years, and so I can't even imagine 5 years, 6 years, and 10 years. And so, what our goal is today, guys, is to be able to give you some information that can help you turn decades into days, right? You can learn a lot faster from people that have gone the way, know the way, are willing to show the way, and that's Cody. So, Cody, we're going to talk about a couple things today. We're going to be talking about the right technology to be able to actually help your team go out there and really go from where you're at right now, whether it's 5 sales or 20 sales, to be able to go out there and do 50 sales, hundreds of sales, thousands of sales. We're also going to be talking about how to create the best offer for reps. We're going to talk a little bit about the back end support, things like that. And then the last thing is just what really matters, which a lot of the times it's not really who pays the most, but it's who's able to actually take care of the homeowner the best. And so I'd love to just have you kind of tell us a little bit about yourself, how you got to where you're at. And then we'll go into these questions. And again, guys, our goal is to just add as much value as possible. And I think these are 3 things that are very important. And if you can take these 3 things that we're going to share with you today, and you can really make sure that you implement them, that you're going to be able to go out there and have a ton of success and be one of the best teams out there in the entire solar industry. So, Cody, the floor is yours, man. And I'm excited to hear a little bit about how you got to where you're at. And then we'll go into these questions here.
Awesome. Cool. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. Really, really appreciate it. Great to be on the Snapper podcast. So yeah, a little bit about me. As Will mentioned a second ago, I've been in solar for about 11 years. I've been in direct sales for 17, 18, coming up on 18 years. So I've been knocking doors for my entire career. I got my start in alarms as just a closer. I went out, I knocked doors for a summer, just looking at it as just a total summer job. I wanted to make good money while I was in school without having to go out and actually work while I was taking classes. And so I had a bunch of friends that did it, so I jumped into it, started knocking doors, realized pretty quickly that it was an incredible opportunity for me to make really good money. I did really well my first summer, continued that success throughout the 5, 6, 7 years or so that I was doing alarms. Once I got to this point though, when I was doing alarms, I just didn't love it. I never felt great about the product. I loved the amount of money I could make. I loved the freedom that direct sales world brought, but just didn't love the product. Nothing against alarms, just wasn't something that was for me. I got a call, shortly after I'd been through a big transition in my life from a guy that I'd worked with at my first summer in alarms. And he was just like, hey, I just got into this solar thing. This was back in 2013, beginning of 2013. And I just got into solar. This is a big opportunity. So after a couple weeks of kind of talking, going back and forth, I jumped 2 feet in, went out and worked with this other company. And I realized really quickly that I love the product. I love the service. I love everything about solar. So I didn't love who I was working with at the time. I was able to then meet, a now close friend of mine that had just started a company called Evolve Solar. I jumped 2 feet into that with him, and we were able to really help build and grow that company into one of the largest in the nation at the time. We were probably 4th, 5th largest, somewhere right around there. We ended up selling that company. Shortly after that, there was just a bunch of stuff that happened with the company that bought us. We ended up starting another one called Encore Solar. Really built that out over a few years. I've been now with Nevo for about a year. So I've been in executive roles for about a decade now. I've been able to really lead some high-level teams. And, really, I think, Will, your question was what kind of got me here? Candidly, what got me here was I did whatever it took. I knocked as many doors as I needed to. I worked as hard as I had to. I traveled as much as I need to, and I helped as many people as possible. And as I combined all of those things, it just gradually elevated myself. I was able to have, I recruited big teams. We had a bunch of people underneath us, but more than anything, I wanted to provide value and help people to really be able to grow and be able to have the same opportunity that I have. So what got me here, candidly, I just worked really hard. Did I have this incredible sales pitch? Did I have, my pitch was probably good, right? But I was able to just work really hard. And the hard work, helping other people, all those things combined just kind of helped catapult me into being able to be in executive roles and really helped me continue that through the last 10, 11 years.
No, that's great. I think that we've got two different types of people watching this right now. You've got the brand new rep, right? Maybe he just heard about solar, started last week, and then you've got the veteran, right? The guy that's been doing this for maybe a year, 3 years, 5 years. And so, our goal, guys, with Snapper Academy is really to take salespeople and turn them into sales professionals. We want to take leaders and turn them into executives. And so I was going to ask you that there, Cody, of what did you do to become an executive? And it sounds like it was hard work, and it was adding value for people. And it was really just going out there and doing the things that others don't want to do, like traveling all the time and just, really just, right? Like there's no secret recipe. It's just like you can go from that brand new rep to a leader and to an executive in just a matter of a couple short years by just doing the work. But you got to prove yourself too. And like you've done that over the last 2 decades, right?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like I started off just knocking doors like everyone else. I was a 22-year-old college kid that went out and just knocked on doors in Chicago for 4 months, right? That's where I started. When I went into solar, I was 29, I think, something like that. I went into it. There was no setter program. The solar industry wasn't anything like what it is today. I made $175 a kilowatt. I think a month into it, they bumped us to $200 a kilowatt. And I was the closer, I was the setter, I did everything, right? I got that deal all the way to install. So I started off doing that, right? Like I was just like the majority of people that are probably listening to this. All I did was knock doors, and I went out and I did that at a really high level. And then from there, I just did whatever I was asked to do. In working with Evolve at the beginning, I just went to the owner and I was like, hey man, like, what do you need me to do? What's going to bring the most value, what's going to help the most amount of people in the organization as we sit right now. And that was, at the time, being on the road, being in the field, working with all the reps, because everybody was transitioning over for the most part from alarms, pest control, stuff like that, because solar was just starting off and it had some buzz. And so I was just out there. I had already done it. I had sold more accounts than he had. So he said, hey, I just need someone in the field. So I just did that, right? And I was in the field. I'd be gone for 2, 3, 4 weeks at a time sometimes, just helping to train and build. And then as I did that, it really helped to elevate myself.
Love it. And guys, Cody is going to be a regular member of this podcast, right? Like, we're building something really special with not just Snapper Academy, but with Nevo. And so if you're that person right now that's like, I want to level up, I want to go to the next level, I want to change my life, then I want you guys to comment in the section below here. And next time we have Cody on the podcast, which maybe it's podcast number 3 or number 4, I think we're going to get John Frampton on here too for number 3. So we're excited about that. But I'd just love to have you guys ask Cody a bunch of questions in the comments here, and then we'll make sure that we answer those next time you're on, Cody. And so let's go into the next couple questions. So, I think that one of the biggest things that people need to be looking at right now, and it's something that Nevo's been able to do very, very successfully as we've been, building out in different states and building out different teams, and really just giving this opportunity to as many people as possible so that we can hit our goal, which is to help 100 people make $1 million over the next couple of years, and help tens of thousands of homeowners go solar and be one of the biggest players in the solar industry by doing it the right way. And part of doing that, I would say for sure, is the right technology, and making sure that you've got the right changes in your technology to be able to actually scale. And even for the brand new person, making sure that they understand the technology, that it's user friendly, and that they're able to actually use it. Because if they're not actually able to use it, then it's what's the point, right? And so we don't necessarily need to mention what the exact software names are maybe, but can you just kind of broadly talk about what tech changes that we at Nevo have made that have made it possible to simplify the process for all of our sales reps and all of our sales managers and all of our leaders?
Yeah, totally. So we've changed almost all of our technology. I've been here about a year, and a year ago versus today, it's drastically different, right? And that's one of the cool things about technology now. So if you look back at the industry 10 years ago, the people that had really cool technology were really just the big companies. There weren't all of these smaller companies that were these tech companies that were out building out their own products. If you had cool technology, you worked for the big box solar or alarm companies, and that was it. But over the course of the last 10 years, as solar has really grown, there's been so many different out-of-the-box solutions that have come into play. We've looked at pretty much all of them. We've even candidly made a transition over to one, and it just didn't work out super well at the beginning of the year. And one of the biggest things that I think is really important, keeping on kind of the topic of getting deals across the finish line, is just rep communication and everything being super open and transparent for them. And so we've just partnered. I won't say who it is, but we've recently partnered with a newer technology company. It's more of a CRM that just it gives you everything that you need across the board. Every rep account is right there in front of them. They can see it. They know what's going on. They can see all the notes. They know what's happening with every single account. The next thing is that it also has communication with the field, that has scheduling apps, having all of that right there in front of you so that you can see what's going on with your accounts at any given moment. You can literally just hop on at the push of a button and know what's going on so that you can provide value and help. One of the things that I see with sales reps that doesn't help them get deals across the finish line is they have this mentality, whether they came from alarms or pest or whatever sales industry they came from, what I see oftentimes is they want to set it and forget it, right? And they want to just go out, knock the door, close the deal, pass it off to the ops team, and then not worry about it anymore. But when you're constantly keeping a thumb on the account and seeing what's going on, you're jumping in when needed and having that visibility right there in front of you so that you can do that, I've seen that it allows for accounts to get installed quicker. It allows for accounts to get PTO quicker because you're responsive, you're there, you're active. And oftentimes companies don't have those solutions. They have somewhat of a solution to give you somewhat of the visibility that you need, but not everything that you need, right? And so when you have everything right there in front of you, those solutions have been the best from what I have seen. And the cool thing about them now is you don't have to build them out, right? You don't have to go and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to build out this technology so that you have this platform. I've had to do that in the past, and it's really expensive. It never turns out the way that you need it. But there's a lot of solutions out there today that people can take advantage of. And so if you're a tech company, if you're a solar company that is looking for good solutions, they're out there. They're sometimes kind of expensive, right? But that expense that you're investing into your team is going to pay dividends simply because it's giving them the access and the visibility that they need to push their accounts forward.
Well said. I think that the tech is just, it's kind of the biggest part to it, right? Because it used to be when I first got started in solar that we would sign a homeowner up. I mean, and right? You were literally probably doing it on paper. And it's like, we would literally just...
At the beginning, dude. There was people that would literally walk around with a piece of chalk and like mark the sidewalk, right? Like there wasn't any of these apps that anybody has today.
Yeah.
So it's crazy the change that's happened over 17 years.
We would just email in the pictures for the site survey. Now it's like we've got everything set up, all the welcome calls. And so it's like, if you really want to do this at a high level, which hopefully everybody watching this right now wants to do solar at the highest level, you want to go out there and change your life financially. You're not just doing this to learn, right? Of course we're going to learn, but like, let's go out there and let's earn. And that sometimes comes from losses, that comes from lessons. And so, Cody, what would you say has been one of the things that has been like your biggest lesson in regards to like kind of like creating the best offer for reps? So like, having back end support, and making sure that like the back end like is simple. I think that's one of the things that people will go in. They're like, hey, the tech looks cool. I love the company. Like I see people making money, but then they go out and maybe they want to like test you out, right? And so they'll put up like maybe like 5, 10, 15, 20 deals, whatever it is. And then the back end's just not that good. So what are some things that you've seen, and where would you say that Nevo has set themselves up so that we have an incredible offering with our reps, with our back end support?
Yeah, I think a really big thing is looking at it more from the cultural standpoint. Now, a lot of companies, they have this like clear division between sales and ops, where it's like you have your operations team and then you have your sales team, and they work completely independent. What I've seen works best is when you have it joined together as much as possible. And when you have the culture of sales versus ops, you're going to get a lot of headbutting, and you're going to get operations people that are always pointing the finger at the sales team, and the sales team that's always pointing the finger at the ops team. And it doesn't create a great culture, right? It creates more friction than it does togetherness. And one of the things that, in my previous life at Evolve Solar, we were a partner of Solar City. One of the things they always talked about was their like motto, or whatever they wanted to call it, was one team, one dream, right? The whole company was all together. We're all in this. We're all trying to save the planet and get as many solar systems installed as possible. And one of the things that we've really tried to do at Nevo is create that same culture where everybody's on the same team. Now, it's not always perfect, right? There can sometimes be that friction, and naturally it happens. But when you're focused on togetherness, you're focused on, hey, our goal all together is to link arms and go into battle together and get these systems up on the roof, because this is going to help our overall mission, right? Our overall mission at Nevo is to become the most trusted brand in solar. And in order for us to get there, we have to all work together. If it's your sales team and your ops team working against each other, you're never going to get there. And so the biggest thing for me is like having technology, having all those things is really important, but you've got to really have a culture that everybody is aligned on. And when you have everybody aligned on, hey, let's get these deals installed really quickly. Let's get these deals PTO'd really quickly so that one, everybody gets paid, right? Which is important. The company makes money, we're continuing that. But more importantly, the customer is happy, right? When you have a happy customer on the other end of the whole installation process, they're going to provide referrals, they're going to provide great reviews, and you're going to continually build and grow your business. You're going to keep your sales reps, everybody's going to be happy. And so to me, I think the biggest thing in kind of working together is it comes back down to the culture you're building for your entire company, and not just for the sales team or not just for the operations team, but how you can bring togetherness in the organization.
Love it. And for those of you right now that might be thinking like, dude, Red Snapper, what are you doing? You guys are talking about Nevo a lot. It's like, guys, that's exactly right. Nevo is a company that we partnered up with because they're doing it the right way. They've got the back end going on, and they got an incredible vision. And I'm a visionary, right? Like I want to be a part of a something big. I want to be about a part of something big, but also something that is successful. And that's what we're building here at Nevo. And it's like, we've got this goal for quarter three this year, 2024, which is to help more homeowners than we've ever helped before. I think it's like over 1,000, right? Clean deals. And I mean, some people are doing more, but a lot of people are not doing those kind of numbers. And it's like, we can do those with the people that we've got right now. But then it's like, all right, now how do we go to 2, 3, 4, 5,000, right? And it's like, we need more good people. Guys, we've gotten over 50 million views over the last 2.5 years. And it's because of guys like you and girls like you that are watching these videos, that are coming out here brand new in the industry. You guys want to learn. And like, we just love that, right? We love adding the value. We love going out there, leading from the front, knocking the doors. And so really our goal is just to let you guys know a little bit about what we're doing. And over the next couple of years, you guys want to work with us, that'd be incredible. And, you know, we just want to come on here and just add value. If you guys are at an incredible company, like stay there for sure, right? Keep just watching Snapper Academy, get some value, and go and work with whoever you're working with. But if you're looking to be a part of a company that's got the right tech, got the best offering, and the biggest thing is that I would say it's about building something that's for the long haul, right? It's building something to last. So Cody, to wrap it up, kind of, can you mention a little bit about, you know, it's really about who takes care of the homeowner the best, right? It's not about who pays the most. It's solar. We're going to make a ton of money, but it's things like building longevity and how important trust is. You mentioned that we want to be the most trusted brand in solar. And then just like, we're built to last. So the question is how are we built to last? How are we built for longevity? And how are we building trust? How are we building the most trusted brand in solar?
Yeah, no, totally. So, you know, the solar industry has gone through obviously a tumultuous time over the last few years. There's been a lot of companies go out of business. There's been a lot of sales only companies. And a lot of that has been because those companies aren't necessarily doing it the right way. And when we talk about doing it the right way, it's even bringing it down to like the foundation of the company. What's your vision? Where are you trying to go? Right. And clearly painting that vision for everybody. But then from there, it's looking at like, hey, how are we setting up our finances? Do we have budgets? Do we have everything set up needed in order to be financially stable? Most companies don't have that. A lot of times, most companies that are out there are sales guys that got together and said, let's start a company, right? And then they go out and they start selling, which isn't a bad thing, right? But you've got to have people that understand the finance side. You've got to have people that understand the operations side. And when we set up budgets, we're looking at things long-term, right? We're not looking at like, okay, cool, we're going to make this much money this year, but we're looking at it, okay, how much money do we have to set aside in order to service these accounts over the course of the next 25 years? Because these are our accounts and we have to take care of these, right? So we have budgets set aside for that. We're looking at those things. We're looking at it from a 5-year, 10-year, 15-year perspective, and not just the here and now. The other side of something that is just really important that we look at it different. I've mentioned PTO a couple times. Most companies, when they're looking at a customer life cycle, they're simply saying, how quickly can we get it installed? Because we need to get paid, right? And I've heard companies that I've either been a part of or companies that I've done some consulting with where they have this perspective of, we need to get it installed at all costs and we'll worry about the rest later, right? Which is just the wrong way to look at it, because you're not looking at it from a customer standpoint. You're looking at it simply from a making money standpoint. So from the beginning of Nevo, one of the things that we've looked at is we don't just look at install timelines, which obviously that's important, right? Because that's when reps get paid, but we look at it from the customer perspective of how quickly can we PTO this account? Because as I mentioned previously, when you look at it from the PTO standpoint, you're looking at it from just the customer's view. The customer's happy when it gets installed, but nothing's happening for them other than they have a cool looking roof ornament now, right? And when you get to that PTO day, that's when rubber meets the road. That's when they can actually start saving money. They realize that the investment they made is a good investment, and that's when the magic starts to happen. That's when you're going to retain more sales reps because they're getting referrals all the time. The goal for most people is, hey, I want to get off the doors, right? You hear people say that all the time. You want to get off the doors, take care of your customers. When you take care of your customers, you're getting referrals, and you don't have to go out and do it. I know people in California that have been selling for over a decade in the same area, and they don't really knock doors anymore because they take care of their customers. They get it turned on quickly. They communicate with them, and they've got great relationships there. So, when you're looking at building a company for the long haul, you have to look at it from those perspectives and not simply from the perspective of we have to make payroll or I really want to make money, so I'm going to say whatever I can to get this job installed. But looking at it from their perspective, because that's ultimately what's going to bring longevity.
Amen. Couldn't have said it better. Guys, drop a like on this video if you've gotten value from this. Again, drop in the comments another question you've got for Cody. We've talked about how to build something that's long-term, right? We've talked about the back-end process, and we're talking about things that are just hopefully going to help you guys to go out there and have success, not just in solar, but in everything that you do for the rest of your life, right? The reason why we call solar a personal development program is because you're able to build these skill sets that you're able to go out there and do whatever you want, right? I mean, and one thing you mentioned right there, Cody, is something that Tyler Bradshaw, our president at Nevo, was talking about yesterday, which is a lot of people, they want to get off the doors, right? And the story you're talking about there is this guy named Ben that was able to go out there. I think he's in California. And just because he was doing such good business and working with referrals, he's off the doors. But then you got people like Michael O'Donnell, and they're like always getting back on the doors. And so it's like the point of it, though, is you shouldn't look at solar as like, I want to get off the doors as fast as possible and just build a big team and then I can chill. It's like, no, you should keep working it. This is your job, that you can take this money, and the most money you're ever going to make is from going out there and selling solar, just like Michael O'Donnell says, and getting your golden door and then using that money to put it into real estate so that that then funds your lifestyle. And that's the recipe, right? You can't just use solar to fund your lifestyle. You got to buy the real estate, knock doors, buy doors. So, you know, all good things. I mean, to wrap it up, it's like you mentioned it, there's hundreds of companies that are going out of solar. And so if you guys want to know kind of why we started up this podcast and why we're doing what we're doing, it's because there's a lot of people right now that are not doing it the right way and they're struggling. And we want to be a resource to be able to help people do it the right way. And if right now you're not in the right vehicle, definitely send us a message. We'd love to work with you. We're in half a dozen states, soon to be more, and we're doing it the right way. We're built to last, and our goal, again, is to help create 100 millionaires, and we need good people. We need good people like you guys and girls watching this right now that have good hearts. You guys want to go out there, but you're maybe not in the right vehicle right now, or maybe you don't have the right leadership, or just something's not working where you're not able to go out there and perform at the highest level. And so we want to set you guys up for success either way. Thank you so much for watching. This is the SnapperChat episode 2 podcast. We're really excited about it. We want to add as much value as we possibly can. I don't know how long we've been doing this, but we want to keep them to like 20, 30 minutes. And so to bring us home, Cody, do you have any words of encouragement or motivation to just bring us home for everybody watching it? Yesterday, our biggest advice was just, hey, if you don't know what you're doing, then you need to grab your journal and just write down what your goals are. How are you going to do it? What are you going to sacrifice to give it up? And when are you going to hit your goal? And so right now it's like, hey, I got 10 days left. I've got 10 days left for this 6-pack. And I know what I'm going to do exactly after this. And that's go out there and help 30 people come into our team that close their first 5 sales. And I want to do that in a month, and I want to document it, right? I've always had goals. I think it's important to have goals. And so if you guys don't have goals, get in your journal. And that was kind of what we talked about yesterday. But to wrap up our second episode of Snapper Chat, Cody, bring us home, brother. And thanks again for being on the podcast. We love you. We've learned a ton from you. We're excited to go out there and dominate the industry together and just literally reach all of our goals. And we're going to do it. It doesn't happen right away, but you guys give us another couple of years and it's going to happen. And we'd love to have you guys be a part of it. So Cody, thank you again for coming on and bring us home, bro.
Yeah, so my advice for anybody, whether you're brand new to the industry, you've been in this 20 years, doesn't matter. My advice, and one of the things that has brought me success in life, and my wife actually pointed this out to me yesterday. She said, and I actually didn't even know that she thought this about me. I've heard Jake Red say this, someone that works with us at Nevo, but she said, you're the most disciplined person I've ever met in my life. And discipline doesn't come all at once, right? If I look back at myself 11 years ago when I started in solar, I mentioned that I had gone through a transition in my life. I had just gone through a divorce. It had been a really hard time for me. And at that point, when I had gone through, the hell of that divorce, I was probably 3-4 months into it. And I was probably at one of my lowest points in my life. And I decided that I was going to turn my life around. Shortly thereafter, I got that phone call from the person I worked with previously in the alarm world, and I listened to a book called The Compound Effect as I was driving out to Boston to go out and sell solar for the first time. And I took a lot of the principles of the compound effect and I applied those into my life. One of the first things I did is I went and I got a gym membership. And I decided that I was going to consistently work a schedule regardless of the outcome that I had during that day. And I put together all these different things that I was trying to accomplish. One of the things that I learned early on in my career was the most successful people in the world are doing 2 out of the following 3 things, which is read a book, wake up early, and exercise, right? And 75% of those people are doing all 3. Okay, so I decided I was going to build those things into my daily habits. And so I did that and I focused on it. And at first, I didn't always have the motivation to do it, right? Motivation is just a feeling, and that's something you have to remember. Even today, fast forward 10 years later, where I have those things really built into my life, I don't always feel like it. I woke up this morning and I didn't feel like going to the gym. I didn't feel like exercising, but I did it anyways. And so I've been able to build discipline that's allowed me to just continue to do the things that I know I need to do every single day. Those wins that I get early on in the morning, I go through a pretty strict morning routine. Those early wins, those lead to disciplines throughout the rest of the day that allow me to find success. So if you want to find success in solar, if you want to find success in any industry, no matter what you want to do, you have to build discipline. You're never going to be motivated all the time. It will not happen. It's simply a feeling. You can go into your morning meeting, you can have your manager give you this incredible pump up speech, right? And you feel really motivated in that moment. But the moment you get in the car and you drive out to your area, that motivation feeling is going to be gone. And the only thing between you and success that day is being disciplined enough to open up your car door and go knock the doors that you need to knock. So if you want to find success in life, become disciplined in the daily habits that are bringing you success. And that is ultimately what's going to lead to your long-term success in whatever you do in your life. So there's my words of wisdom. But yeah, guys, first of all, just want to say thank you for having me. Really appreciate. Love being on. Love working with Beeler. Love working with Will. It's been great to be on the podcast. Hopefully I can be on again sometime soon.
Let's get it. All right, guys. Thanks again. Make sure you guys drop a like, comment below if you guys enjoyed the podcast. And let's do Snapper Chat on me, Snapper Chat on 3. 1, 2, 3. Snapper Chat!